Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Mike Ames Recruitment Show, where, as you can see, I get the opportunity to grill Mike on what 35 years of recruitment teaches him. Now, obviously, as we go through today, guys, I have some questions that I've already prepared in advance to grill the big guy. But these questions are based on stuff that we get asked all the time. If you have anything as we go through that you want to bring up, if you want to put him on the spot, I so enjoy that. It'd be like a Christmas present for me. Feel free to do so. But Mike, what I figured I'd do to start with is there are a lot of people who sort of have piecemealed together your story, but let me just see if I can get this together. So back in the 80s, you did a computer science degree at Stafford Polytechnic. And then you were a contractor, an IT contractor. Then in 1988, you became a recruiter. You went and started, hitting those phones, doing basic recruitment. And less than a year later, you started your first recruitment company.
6 months later, actually.
It's so mental when you think about it. 6 months later, you started your first recruitment company, Software Knowledge. And then less than 18 months later, you tragically became the MD because the senior partner, the guy that you loved very dearly, Mike Sparks, tragically passed away. And then a couple of years later, you pretty much had a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, that sums it up. Shall we end the show now then? Or is that no? Yeah. It was a very steep learning curve, and as we go through today, and you ask me questions, and if we get questions from the audience as well, which I'd like, you'll see that. I mean, I learned an awful lot, and I think I put in the post really that I am not afraid of failure. I've never been afraid of failure. I'd give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? But I do learn from my failures. I do think I was trained as an analyst, an IT analyst. So I analyze and try and figure out why things work or don't work. And then I can take that with me. And I think 35 years of that, cool blimey, you don't have to learn some. And the interesting thing as well, actually, I talk about growing and selling two businesses, which is fine, really. But actually, I didn't learn most of my stuff then, weirdly. I learned most of my stuff dealing with over 100 recruitment companies as a private client, and then hundreds have gone through our training programs and various things. That's where I learned most of it. What I've got from the growing and selling was empathy. I understand what it's like to sit around a kitchen table and say, hey, we can do this. How hard can it be? Come on, let's make this happen. We'll build and sell in 5 years. Shouldn't laugh, I know, but it's true. And I totally get that and what it means and how that works. That's really what those growth things did for me, really, I think, probably.
Yeah. Now, on that though, Mike, you went from pretty much 1988 being an IT contractor to 1990 being the owner of a business. How do you do that as a mentality? How do you get into that?
I'll run you through, because there's something that I want to draw out here. The first of I did say in my post, the first message that I would bring out would be the most important one, and I want to do that now, because this is, if you take nothing else but just this, it'll be a big difference. So programmer, so very introverted, very used to go and sit in the corner and write computer programs, or have to go and talk to users sometimes, which is pretty scary, and that kind of stuff. Then I became a recruiter. If we'd got more time, I'd tell that story because it is quite interesting, but we don't have the time. Went to work for a guy called Mike Sparks at Systems Resources in Coventry. And then about halfway through that, Mike said, I fucking hate it here. Why don't we leave and set our own business up? Did not see that one coming after 3 months in recruitment. All right, then, we'll go with that. And the big mistake I made really was I'd been a programmer and then threw myself into being a recruiter. The 6 months with SR, and then the next 18 months, I just was a recruiter. Head was recruiter, hit the phones, activity, aggression, get in there, focus, all the things that recruiters need, really. But then he died in a car accident, so there's no planning on that. It's not like we can prepare for this. One day he's there and the next day he's not. And what I needed to be was a business owner. I needed to think and act like a business owner. But I didn't know that. And even if I had, I didn't know what that meant, really. And so the reason I came very close to a breakdown, well, I did have a little mini breakdown, really one Friday night, and that weekend was a lost weekend for me, was because I grew a business around me. It was an extension of me, really. We probably had by then, I don't know, 12, 15 people or something, whatever it was. But I was the kingpin. I was involved in everything, whether it was hiring people or I win most of the big clients, manage the big clients, even did a bit of resourcing from time to time. Madness is that, really. And I was involved in everything. I knew where everything was in the business. It was all in my head, and I knew it because I was a recruiter that owned a business. And what I needed to be was a business owner that just happened to do recruitment. They sound very similar, but there is a world of difference. And you need to make that transition, because the sooner that you make that transition, the sooner things begin to change in your business. If you're just a recruiter, and I'll go through, if you want me to, Kirsty, what that really means.
I think so.
But the sooner that you make that transition and get yourself to the position where you think like a business owner, you just happen to do recruitment. You could do anything, because business owners, that mentality is universal. It doesn't matter what it is that you do. But the sooner that you do that, the sooner that things begin to change and your life becomes easier, for sure.
Okay, so let's just delve a little bit deeper on that then. What kind of things do you have to change in order to become a business owner who does recruitment rather than
there's quite a few things really that you'd have to do, but I'll just pick on three, because these are the most popular and the ones that I think if you just did these and nothing else, then it would have an effect. The first one is your planning horizon. A recruiter's planning horizon, especially 360s, is the end of the month, really. And you know that. The end of the quarter, if you're lucky. But recruiters have got a very short planning horizon, because that's all they're interested in, is where the money is. And they actually need that immediacy, right? They need that to go forward. Business owners have got much longer planning horizons. I read that Singapore, that's not a company or a person, by the way, it's like a country. Singapore has a 50-year plan. I'm not talking about that kind of planning horizon, so as you know, right? Although someone told me that Toyota has a 30-year planning horizon, who knows? But a planning horizon which is much longer. And when we used to do business plans in the early days, our business plans were really just forecasts, really, budgets and forecasts. They were just, this is what we're going to do and this is what we're going to spend for 12 months. And that was our business plan. But it isn't. A business plan is the changes you're going to make. How are you going to develop your business to make it more profitable, to make it safer, to make it give you what you want from it, whatever that might be. I think first thing is that planning horizon, much longer and also more deeper. It's like change. We're going to change this, we're going to change that, we're going to improve that, we're going to swap this and put that out, whatever it might be. That's how you got to think. Second thing is allied to that is working on your business, not just in it. The more you work on your business today, the less you're going to work in your business tomorrow. Working on your business is, again, things like planning, strategy, training, personal development for yourself as the owner. Looking at change as being something that you need to do. You don't just fit it around other things. Recruiters put recruitment first. Business owners put business first. And that's difficult. When I'm working with our clients, we have this concept called purple time. It comes from the whole colored time thing. Purple time is when you work on the business, and you book it in your diary every week, 2 hours at least, longer if you can manage it. And that's like your most expensive or most precious client. You book 2 hours with them. You wouldn't not turn up. You wouldn't change your mind. You wouldn't shorten it to 40 minutes. It's like sacrosanct because he's your most important client. Well, purple time is more important than that, because it's going to transition you from where you are to where you want to be, whatever that means to you. So I think working on your business and the concept of purple time is quite important. I think the other thing is delegation, right? The concept where I just shared tasks. So everything was an extension of me, really. And that's madness. There lies madness. So J.C. Penney, the American grocer or whatever he was, shop owner, said the most seminal moment in my business career was when I realized I couldn't do it all myself. And he wasn't talking about doing the work. He was talking about the leadership and the management. And as soon as you learn to delegate properly, not abdicate, which I tried first, just getting rid of, well, that didn't work out so well for me.
No, imagine it did.
No, sort out the mess. And obviously keeping things close to you is no good either. You've got to understand how to do that. And that process that I went through up until the melt, when I nearly went doolally, I think she showed me the need for that, and then we hired someone called Anne-Marie Hanlon, who was a consultant. She was a marketing consultant actually, but she just changed. She began that journey of me changing from a recruiter who owned a business to a business owner who did recruitment. She was the one that did that. She taught me about planning, taught me about working on the business. Certainly made sure I began to delegate, to manage by data, not by proximity. So proximity data management means I manage people because I can see them or I know what they're doing or I talk to them all the time. Managed by data means you get reports, dashboards that tell you what the hell's going on. She was the one that began to transition me, and it's like a door opening and the light shining through. It's amazing, really.
Okay. I mean, those are some pretty big things that you have to do. But I mean, I suppose there is a transition period. I think that's important to say. It's not like you one day woke up and went, I'm going to be excellent at delegation today.
No, we worked with her for about, I think it was about 16, 18 months. I can't remember. I could look it up probably from my diaries, but around about that time, because change takes time. It's just, you can do things very quickly, but to bed them in and change your mentality and change the mentality of your team takes a lot of time, actually. And quite frankly, we were very lucky. I'll talk about people later, but we were very lucky with the people that we had initially. And it was luck, really, more by luck than judgment. We pulled in some really good people to begin with. And that helped, because if you're delegating to people that aren't up to the job, that delegation is going to fail. So it's a complex process, but yes. But they reckon there's, statistically, there's a rule of 3, 4, and 8 in recruitment companies. So it takes 3 years to establish a viable business. You're making some money, got some clients, got a few people, some processes, yada, yada, yada. Bit of money in the bank, Another 4 years to make it scalable. And that means it doesn't depend on a named individual for its success, including you, the owner. It takes 4 years to do that on average. And then 8 years to make yourself rich, even if you don't sell. 8 years, if you're earning a lot of money, you should be able to draw it out, invest it, and become financially independent. Well, that's kind of how long it takes because of the change, the process of change. Not any other reason. And I think it's important to bear that in mind when you're growing your business. Don't try and do it too quick, guys.
Yeah. And that's something else that I wanted to actually talk to you about, because SK, Software Knowledge, the business you started in 1989 when I was still in my mom's tummy, literally been around recruitment my whole life. You grew in the first 5 years, you went from 0 to 5 million, which was a lot to do with that transition process. The next 5 years, you went from 5 million to 40 million. How did you manage that? What's the biggest reason that happened?
There's quite a few reasons, but I want to pick on 2, which were probably 80% of the reason for that. The first one was strategic business development. And all strategic BD means really is that it's not about getting a transaction, it's about building a relationship. That's all. So it doesn't mean that you can't do business immediately with a client. People often say that, I can't wait 6 months to do, I need business. No, you're not. No. What I'm saying is you go in and see if you can get some work. Of course you do. Why would you not? But just because you don't doesn't mean to say you leave it. You then go down a different path of cultivating that relationship until it gives you what you want. Now, if you believe in your product, as I did then and do now, and I tried to instill this in my clients as well, I really believed in what we did. Our product wasn't called that then, it was just what we did. But I believed, I was obsessed with quality, obsessed with it, which I picked up from Mike Sparks. Obsessed with it. I couldn't let it go if it wasn't right. And what our clients thought of us mattered the most to me. I was really interested, and our contractors too, so our customers as well. And so we had this thing that we believed in, and then we had this mechanism to sell it to people. And if they didn't buy it now, I didn't care, because I kept going on and on and on. New business is about creativity, organization, and persistence. Keep going on and trying different things. And creativity means you're trying something different each time, and eventually you just wind them down because your product is good. They should be using it. It's better than the competition. I know who you're using. We're better than they are. Well, you can't say that, because what does that mean? But you can gradually demonstrate that. And so we were unstoppable, really. The other side of it, which I would argue is even more important than that, actually, ladies and gentlemen, is that we really drill down on client care. So this stemmed from Anne-Marie Hanlon, really. The way in which she saw client care. And we were pretty, I think we're pretty good at it really, but nowhere near in the sort of things that she talked about with us. And so our drive was to be the first choice, apex, wanted to be the apex supplier. And it's amazing what you can do if you drill down on that. See, 360 is I don't like 360s at all, as you know. I'm sure we'll talk about that. Oh yeah, right. But part of their focus is they're transactional. Obviously, it's about the money, like this month, this money. And if a client doesn't have any work, and they don't, I mean, clients' workloads tend to go up and down like that. So if there's no work, well, I'm not bothered with them because there's no money. Where's the work? It's over there. I'll go there then. All that does is make the clients feel as if they're a source of money for the agent.
They feel special.
No, no. We deal with us because you want the money, don't you? That's what you want. Now, everyone knows that, right? It's just you don't have to rub people's faces in it. But we didn't do that. We had a care regime which didn't matter. We just kept in touch. We added value. We built relationships. We were supposed to take our clients out. Now, by the way, these are different days. I'm not saying you replicate this now, but we would take them out every 6 weeks for lunch. Our contractors, we would take every 6 weeks in person. Out we would go, buy them beer and curry whenever they wanted. We spent more on our contractors doing that than we did our clients, actually.
I bet.
It was great days, actually. That's why I look the way I look now. I was 7 stone when I started that job.
That's why in December in the 90s, you would have about 45 Christmas dinners.
Oh, nightmare, really. I'd be having Christmas lunches and Christmas dinners on the same day. But this kind of makes people feel as though they're special to you, that you appreciate them, they're special. And then you get to know them and you move them from what we say is the movement from the client zone to the friend zone. And everybody watching this show or listening to this on the podcast will know that they've got clients who they would class almost as friends. You know, they're kind of, you could just ring them up. You don't need it. You can just ring them up. They'll take a call and you shoot the breeze and whatever, right? So you need a system which is going to do that more and more as it moves forward, and not rely upon someone's being, innately great and skilled at it. You need a system which is going to make that happen. Because the more clients you get into the friend zone, the more money you make. And that jump from 5 to 40 million quid in 5 years came simply because, we had a really cute way of winning new clients that was very organized and very systematic and creative, most of it. But also we didn't lose clients. I mean, we lost a couple, I think. One in particular, because the client care drifted weirdly. That's another story for another time. 3 million quid that cost me. But I know, it was a bit of a bugger. But the point is, it's that client care, and you add those two things together. Whoosh.
Yeah.
Underline that was this obsession with quality. I know I keep mentioning that.
I think it comes across though, because in order to do decent client care and to make sure people feel special, appreciated, understood, like you say, this is your basis, and every time you add a new client on, you don't have to, because as soon as you lose a client, you then have to get a new client just to stay steady. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you keep them, you keep on building up.
And it's not just that. It's if you get the wrong clients.
Yeah.
Because if you're just getting spot deals, there's a cost of sale to get that client. You just get 1 or 2 deals and it goes away. Then that's not a good return on that investment. If you can pretty much put the same amount of effort to win a client that's going to have more vacancies going forward, the return on investment is much better. And we focused on them. I knew exactly who they were. We used to go through the CVs. I hired someone, his name was Richard Coward, because we didn't have LinkedIn and we didn't have the CRMs that we have now. And his job was to go through every CV that came into the company and look for companies that we didn't know about, that people had worked for. Then he would ring the contractor up and say, I see you worked at wherever it was. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And then if we knew the questions to ask, they would become a target then. We would go for them. And if we went for them, we would almost certainly get them. Almost certainly, because I just would not give up.
Yeah.
Ever. Okay. We should get that Terminator clip, Kirsty. You know the one, they will never give up. That one. That's a great clip, isn't it, really? Can we get that on the show?
Yeah, I'll try my hardest for you. I'll pay thousands of pounds.
I just know you won't do anything.
No, right. It's Christmas though, so you can take it. Christmas miracle perhaps will come. As I said, guys, as we go through Christmas jumpers, as we're going through, I have got a couple of questions I'm going to ask Mike. But if you do want to bring anything up to him, he's an open book. Feel free to go for him. So Mike, I appreciate that client care was so important, but there's something you said earlier that I wanted to pull back to. you said that there's a couple of people that you had at SK and at Crimson as well who were great people, but you've repeatedly said that you should build a business based on employing average people.
Where average people can deliver outstanding results, yeah.
Can you explain to me where that came from? Because you said that to begin with, you had kind of excellent people. So where that came from and why you say it?
Well, a couple of things. Firstly, that's very common that people start a business and the first few hires they make are really good because they probably know them from elsewhere, right? So you hire in a known quantity, and so therefore the stock of your business is strong. Okay, so we know that, and therefore there's an assumption I'll just replicate that forever. No, you won't. And the reason you won't is because of standard distribution. So statistics, really, a bell curve. You know what a bell curve looks like. We all do. 15% overachievers, 15% underachievers, 25% above average, 25% below average, 30% average. A bell curve. You get 100 people together, that's what they'll look like, right? Now, interestingly, in recruitment, it's reported around about 200,000 recruiters in the United Kingdom. And there are about 30,000 recruitment companies, which is 15%, weirdly. So arguably, the high achievers all run their own businesses. Well, that's not strictly true. But you see the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
A lot of the really good people are out of it because they own their own businesses, or they're going to do that.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking at your top biller, especially if they're 360 across the room. You're looking at a future competitor right there, matey, right? So that's how I started. Most of the people who are business owners now started in that way. Fine. But you don't have to replicate that, right? And as you hire people, they're going to be more and more average. I mean, it'd be nice to get above average, which would be nice. And you can do that if you've got a really good, strong EVP. You can attract people and then keep them. But it is hard. It is hard to do it. And you can't keep sacking people because they're not top billers. I really hate that term, by the way, top billers. I'm not telling you how much I hate top talent. Never talk to me about top talent, please. It's just, what are you saying? Oh, Jesus. So if you can build a business that satisfies what statistically you're going to get, if you build an environment where average people can deliver outstanding results. And at the end, I had about 87 people, I think. So we turnover in the first one was 40 million quid. In the second business, I think it was bigger, but the turnover was smaller because it's a different kind of business. But you know, and that would have adhered to the standard distribution curve, right? I would imagine.
Yeah.
Right. But we had a way that we could get those people to deliver outstanding results. That's the difference.
Ruella has come to my next question. She said, "What's the secret? What is the secret, Mike?" She doesn't want any alluding to, and I get it, Rue. I'm pushing him. I'm pushing him for you.
Are we giving away the family jewels now, Kirst? Are they all being put out there? Okay, Rue. Yeah, well, okay. Let me deal with that. Okay, right. Two things, right? Two things. The first thing is a stable team. And that is the first thing. You very usually find that high profit businesses that are consistently profitable in comparison to their size, tend to have stable teams. So that's all about the EVP, the culture, the way in which you treat them. We can talk about that a little later, perhaps, right? But then the second thing is the use of tools, training and monitoring, management, basically. So let me break that down and explain what that is. What a tool does anywhere, in the garden, in the kitchen, in the workshop, wherever, what a tool does is simplify, speed up and standardize the task that it's applied to. Food processors. At the moment, Mrs. Ames laid up, obviously. I'm having to do things in the kitchen. I can work the dishwasher now, by the way.
We're very proud. We're very, very proud of you.
Right. Well, dishwasher, let's just take that one because I'm an expert at that now, right? I load it up with all sorts of things. I put a sachet and I press 3 buttons, don't I, Kirst? 3 buttons.
You're very proud of you, 3 buttons.
And every single time they come out clean, right? And it's easy and it's quick and I don't have to worry about it, right? That's what a tool does. So you can put tools into your business. Now, when I say that, almost always people think, he means software. Get some software tools in. No, I don't. No, I don't mean that. You know that there was a study done, and this is going back a wee while, and I think that it's similar now. When I was in IT to begin with, only about 15% of the code that's available, the programs that are available, are used fully. 15%. You think that's nonsense. Then you think, well, hang on a minute. No, wait. Excel. How much of Excel do I use?
It's a good job Pete's not here because Pete's is quite a lot, but the average person.
How much of the CRM do you use? You know what? All of these things that we have and we don't use. So the first thing is, yeah, you can use software, but you better make sure you make the most out of it. And that's where training comes in, and also management. So you're monitoring the usage of whatever it is that you've got to make sure it's been used properly and fully. And if it isn't, more training or whatever measures you need to get people to do what you want them to do, right? But if you use tools properly, and tools, by the way, I'm going to give some other examples which are non-IT in a minute. Tools aren't about, they're not about taking away the skills that people need. They're about getting the most out of people. So in other words, it's easier for them, if they can be asked to use the tool properly, to get better results. And when they see that and it kind of sets in, there's no going back. No one's going to get rid of a dishwasher if they've had one, because it's like, why would I do that? It's brilliant, right? So other tools, let's talk about non-IT tools. There's plenty of IT tools. I want to talk about that with you, if you could use them properly. And by the way, the other thing about people that sell IT tools, a lot of them are snake oil salesmen.
Yeah, this thing will cure all of your business development problems, and you'll have thousands of clients.
They will, if used by the top 1% of your people.
But also, anybody can buy that technology, so it's not that much of a differentiator.
Yeah, that's right. Not much of a competitive edge. Let's look at some other tools that aren't then, right? So I tell you, great chunky content is a tool. So this is content that's almost good enough that your clients will almost pay for it. It's that good, because what that will do is start a conversation. I could train my aged aunt, who's 87, isn't she now, Auntie Anna?
Yeah, although she wouldn't appreciate you saying that.
Fair enough. But I could train her to open a conversation with somebody, because they're not interested in her. It's this great thing that they're being offered by her. So it simplifies and speeds up the process of starting a conversation, right? An ideal client profile is a tool, because what that does, people don't have to think about the type of companies they should be targeting. You just have to do what it says in the ICP. Sales collateral, again, is a tool, because it standardizes the key messages that you need to communicate to the people out there before they decide whether to engage with you or not. My favorite are AIDA campaigns. We've talked about AIDA campaigns on this show before.
Yeah.
And again, they're a great conversation starter. A 3-tier contact regime is a great tool, because what that does, it makes it easier to cultivate relationships in prospects to become clients, and then care for those clients when they are clients. It's just a 3-tier regime that you can install into your business and manage the implementation usage of it. There are tons of them.
One thing that I would point out is, at the beginning of the show, you said the most important thing is to get that business owner mentality and create that purple time so that you can work on your business. This is what he means. You're creating these centralized things that you can use to then disseminate amongst your team for them to do things. So this is part of what you would do in your purple time, creating chunky content, coming up with an AIDA campaign and refining it and making it work.
Or working with people that can do that for you. You don't have to do everything yourself. Going back to what I was talking about, delegation isn't delegating to people necessarily in your business. It's we have this saying, right? This came from Anne-Marie. Move everything down to the lowest possible pay grade without sacrificing quality and performance. So in other words, if someone who gets paid less can do something as well as you, then they should do it. Move everything down. And that also counts moving it outside of the business, putting it into suppliers and outsourcers and offshorers. So I think this is really, really important to get your head around. But ultimately, if you want a productive team that delivers great results, you tool them up, you train them up, and you manage them to make sure that they're doing active management. Is not that common in recruitment. Shouty management is, but that's not active management. Micromanagement is, but that's not active management. Right, so if you put those together, you will get outstanding results from people, 100%.
Okay, Mike. So I'm going to just sort of twist a little bit. So obviously you built up SK, you sold it for 40 mil, which I think we've added up is about 75 mil if you take into inflation now.
I didn't sell it for that. That's what it was doing at the time.
That's what it was doing at the time, which would be about 75 mil. Then you had another difficult time period where you found yourself quite lost without a job to do. And then you started Crimson, which again, you sold that was turning over about 17 mil at the time, I think.
No, still 24 mil.
24. Sorry, my number is Christmas. I'm sorry, guys, it's Christmas. But my question is, and then obviously you sold that, and then you started working with Recruitment Pioneers and Flair and the Mars show. My question I'm going to ask you is, I think, a question that a lot of people have when somebody is as successful as you is still working. Because a lot of people, I think, want to sell their business with the dream of lying on a beach in Acapulco, or probably not Acapulco because it's dreadful, but, you know, in the Seychelles or whatever, or spending a lot of time with their dog. Why do you still do this when you've been so successful? You could have retired at 40. Why are you still doing this?
38, I think you'll find.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, two reasons really. That's a good question. Two reasons. First of all, I think you have to know yourself. I think you have to know what drives you, what makes you tick. And I had some counselling when I left Software Knowledge because I was in a bad place, a dark place. And she said, well, we'll do a needs analysis, and she made me realise what really made me tick. And your inner needs never change. They were active when you were a child. They're active now. They'll be active when you're 90 years old, right? It's what makes you what you are. The way in which you tick those boxes changes as you get older. You know, sport might do when you're younger, doing something else when you're older, right? But the point is, I realized that my inner boxes weren't being ticked. And then Crimson did it for a while, but then it didn't. And then Flair, when I started that in the noughties, we'd gone through 5 or 6 different iterations, did it. And what I was searching for with Flair was to tick those boxes. That's all I wanted. It wasn't the money. I just wanted to feel good about myself and feel that I was adding value. And that is one of my drivers to help. This thing, we give more than we should. We help more than we should. I give more of my time than I should because I've got this inner need to please and to help. Right. So the reason I still do it is, first of all, I have this desire to get up in the morning and be up for it. And I get that from this work that I do now. But also, I genuinely look at me in the eye now and say, you know, this is not Billy bullshit. I don't want other people to go through what I went through, which is unnecessary in many cases. There's a concept called attractive cul-de-sacs, where you go down a route and because you think it's the right route to go down, you're convinced it is. And you get in there and you realize it isn't. And then you have to back out. And when you back out, it costs you time and money and eventually credibility if you keep doing it. Well, you don't need to. Once you've been down some of those, and I've been down them all, like every single one, sometimes more than once, right? Yeah. I can spot them a mile off now. So if I can help people to avoid those attractive cul-de-sacs and get to where they want to go without having a mini blooming breakdown and without losing touch with my children for... I know you want to tell the story now, Kirsty. Just get it out of the way because I know you want to do it. Just do it now. Come on.
I don't say this as much anymore because I do think it upsets you, but
but do it anyway. Come on.
So as I said, SK was started. My mother was 3 months pregnant with me, and then when everything happened, I was about 18 months old, and I was about a year old. I have this thing where I have no memories of you before I'm 5, 0, and I know because we moved house when I was 5. So in the old house, I have memories of my brothers. I have memories of the dog, neighbors, my parent, my mother, my aunts, uncles, all that kind of stuff. I have none of Dad at all. It's like he turned up when I was 5 and went, "Hi, I'm Dad. I'll embarrass you the rest of your life. How are you doing today?"
My name's Michael. I'm your father. Yes, come with me. No, well, I see that from a different side, and it's true, and I hate that. If I could go back and change my life, I would, because damn, that was a risk worth taking. Well, a lot of those things I did were because of attractive cul-de-sacs. I wasted time and effort and money and mind space doing things that were not necessary. So I've got this desire now, which is what we do through all the Recruitment Pioneers work that we do. No, you don't need to do that, right? So, and I think that's part of this owner mentality. Do what you need to do, but don't do any more, really. Don't do things that don't have an effect because you feel guilty that you should. No, stop that.
Yeah. Okay, Mike. The next question I've got is a more topical one because we are coming to the end of our time now, guys. So if you do have any questions, pop them in the comments for me to ask Mike. But the question I've got for you is, you've worked through, I think, 5 recessions. I think we counted. It's about whether you count COVID or not is, one or neither here nor that. There's a lot of people who own recruitment companies now who have never even worked through a recession, a proper one, let alone being a business owner for some of them. Now, next year, just to take a step back, I don't think will be a recession. I think some industries will be hit harder than others, but I think it will just be a flatter market. I think it will just be flatter.
That is our analysis, yes.
Yeah. For those people who are sitting here now in 2023, looking at 2024 with a little bit of trepidation or a little bit of, feeling unsteady because they don't know where it's going, what piece of advice would you give to those people about what to do or what to expect next year?
Okay, so in a recruitment company, there are effectively 4 stakeholder groups. Doesn't matter what you do, really. There's your candidates / contractors / temps, whatever, the people that you place, right? There's those guys. There's your clients, of course. There's your prospects, and then there's your team. Okay. So first of all, step number 1 is to secure the team, to make sure the team are working as efficiently and as productive as they possibly can. If you've got tools, make sure that people are using them. If people's skills aren't up to date, hire a trainer and get them trained up. Do what you need to do to get them as productive as you can and feeling as happy and secure as you can, because if they're not happy and secure, they won't be productive. They'll be constantly looking over their shoulders when they should be looking forward. So that's number 1. You should do that all the time, but I think now, first month or so next, just nail it. Just get people so that they're up there, maximum productivity, maximum security. Number 2 is your clients, because as Kirsty said earlier, it's all very well winning clients, but if you just lost one, you're not actually moving forward, you're standing still. So make sure that you understand where you stand with each of those clients. Do they like you? Are you better than the competition? Worse, about the same? And what can you do to secure your position or move closer to being the apex supplier? What do I need to do here? And at the end of Software Knowledge, the first company, that was pretty much my job, to go around, buy people lunch, play golf, and ask them, are we your first choice? And if we are, great, why? And if we're not, fair enough, but what can I do to move a bit closer? That was it. And that's all working on your business. That's all ownership mentality. It's about the big picture for you, right? And I think to be able to know where you stand with the clients and then make sure that you have those contact regimes in place. The tools we talked about earlier, contact regime, you can implement it over a CRM. You can implement it in a bloody spreadsheet. We give our clients a spreadsheet to start off so that they've got something easy to do it with. Doesn't matter. 26 non-operational interactions a year per person. Operational means anything to do with like a piece of business. So it doesn't count if you're talking to them about getting a piece of work or sending CVs forward, blah, blah, blah. These are non-operational interactions in person, on the telephone, over Teams, over social media, through the post, via email. It doesn't matter, but they've got to be quality, non-operational contacts. If you do that, you will maintain your relationship and strengthen it. When everybody else is panicking and trying to run around a football team like a bunch of 7-year-olds after the ball, they're going for the money and you're being a bit more sensible about it. And then the third thing is really step up on that business development. Get strategic about it. It's not just about getting vacancies. I know that's what you got to do, but it's about building relationships with those people that don't want to buy from you now and having that system in place to do it. That's the thing that makes a difference. You do all that, you'll sail through it. I promise.
Okay, fantastic. So we have had a couple of comments. Angela has said, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Angela.
Merry Christmas, Ange. Yes, how are you?
And I like the idea of getting someone a trainer for Christmas.
Well, there you go. No, who would? Does anyone know a good trainer, Angela? Did you? Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. It's you, isn't it? The Recruitment Gym. Check them out. I've not been paid to say that, by the way. Check them out, those guys. I don't care where you get it from, quite frankly, so long as if they need training, you bloody well buy it for them.
Okay. We've had another person say there's some great golden nuggets of advice. I think that's a joke about your hair, actually, Mike. I think that's a joke about your hair because you're old. No.
No, I don't think it means that.
They didn't use silver, and I think that was really obvious. We've had a question from Tim. It's quite a big question, actually. If you can find a recruiter to join your small recruitment business, how much should you be investing on salary, and how soon should they be bringing money for you? How long would you give them before you need to let them go?
Big old question there, Tim, right? First of all, I think there are lots of people that want to work for a small business if you've got the right message for them. Too many people in small businesses try and replicate being a big business, and they can't, and they fail. We are a small business. You can come and talk to me. I'm the boss. You can sit next to me. We'll go for drinks together. You can influence my decisions. Right?
There's agility.
Yeah, it's a completely different situation from going to work for Michael Page. Got no problem with Michael Page, by the way, if anyone's listening from there. So yes, you can find people if you've got the right message, and seek out people that want that kind of environment. First off. In terms of salary, it's difficult to say. Obviously, it depends on the job role. But what I would say is I would pay higher salaries and lower commission, because there's this thing about, someone said to me, earlier this year, I want to hire some greedy recruiters. And I understood what was behind that. You wanted people hungry for money. Yeah, well, that's actually not thinking it through. That's not owner mentality. That's recruiter mentality right there. Because what are greedy people going to do? Well, they're going to go to where the most money is. So someone offers them more dough, they're going to go there, right? If they suddenly sit there thinking, I'm doing all this business, all this work, I keep 40% of the fees I bring in, company keeps 60%. I know if I do it myself, I can keep 100% for myself, right? Woohoo! Right. So I think, but if you hire people that want a good steady salary and the commission bumps it up, whether it's paid quarterly or whatever it is, right? I think they're more likely to stay with you, and nobody leaves for a lower base salary. Well, except for people who are going to set up their own business because they don't give a shit really. But most people don't, right? In terms of a payment period, I used to keep people too long, because I don't think they're bad people. Well, take a step back. Another thing that I did all the time was I always sold my business before I sold the job. Doesn't sound very much. That is a massive difference. These days we would call it the EVP of the business. We didn't call it that then. But I did most of or pretty much all of my first interviews in the pub. Again, you wouldn't do that now, Kirsty, I know. You would do it in the coffee shop, you would, yeah. But I did in those days. We'd go for drinks and I'd talk about the business, the adventure that we were on and the way we worked and what we were going to do and how we were going to make our opponents scared of us and all this stuff that I believed in. And people joined the mission, they joined me. Oh, and what's the job I'm going to be doing? Well, it's this, right? And so I would move people around, try them in 2 or 3 different roles before I let them go to see whether they got what they took to do that particular job. No, it's just bad people. They're just wrong people for the role that they're in, really. And you have to think about that. But certainly, I think you've got to give it 6 months, really. You just got to see the signs. And if you have a 100-day onboarding plan, which we recommend, part of that is to decide whether they're the right person for you. The only thing I couldn't be doing with was bad work ethic and bad values. So you've got to work hard in recruitment. You just have. It's the deal. The more you work, the better you work, the more you'll get. And values, I want people who've got the values as me and that share the same mission as me. They are as excited when I tell them about what we are going to do as I am. And we'll just keep going, really. I mean, I had to sack people. But our turnover rate in the 90s was less than 3%. It's tiny, really, because we just took a lot of time, 2 or 3 goes before we brought people into the business, and then we kept them going.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing with that is it's often what we find when we're speaking to people, recruitment owners, is you're trying to hire a mini version of you, and that's not what you want. That's not what you want in a layered model. You want somebody who's going to excel at the role that they are given, not a mini version of you.
It's entirely true, Kirsty. You want to build them dependents. So we all talk about we want people who are independent. No, we want a company that's independent of us because we don't want to be working there all the time. But we want everybody in that business to be dependent upon the business, because if they're not dependent, they don't need you. Right? It's really important. That's why a layered model as opposed to 360, where people are intrinsically independent. In a layered model, that's not the case. They're dependent on someone else doing their thing, and they do their thing, and then someone else does their thing. And the whole thing works because of the machine together, not because you've got this person going out and doing that 360 thing, if you can find them, by the way. Good luck with that. So I think that this whole concept of people being at the heart of it all is absolutely true. Treat your staff like your partners. That's what I was always told. Treat them as if they were your business partners. What do they want from this? How can you help them? You work for them, not the other way around. That's not just a cliche. That is bang on true, really. So I think there's a lot in there, Kirsty. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So guys, we're coming towards the end of the show now. In a second, I'm going to come to Mike, and he's not got he's not got a top tip today. He's got a piece of valuable advice. It's a slight difference, but we'll be coming to Mike in a second for that. But first, Mike, this is the last show of 2023, but let's talk about the first show of 2024.
Yes, we've got Wendy. She worked for me in that first business. Wendy Merricks. She's the MD of Jumar. She was CEO of Jumar. She worked for me. She was one of the top 15%. Top 1%, I would say. She was very talented, very good at what she did. And she built her business up over the last 23 years called Jumar. And she sold it a few weeks ago. And she's coming on the show to talk about that experience, because I've talked about it loads of time with me. I think you're all fed up with that. But she's going to have a different viewpoint. She's a woman, effectively, in still a man's world. Most recruitment company owners are men. She has not only survived that, but she's prospered and grown. And I'm so proud of her. And I love her so much, and she's going to come on the show, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. So don't miss that. Is Kirsty frozen? I think Kirsty is frozen, or is it me that's frozen? Ah, I think it's Kirsty that's frozen. Well, I hope so, because otherwise I'm just talking to the void. Oh, she's
Sorry,
back.
guys, it was me. It was me. I'm back now. So that's okay. So I'm sure you explained next week's show fantastically. Now, Mike, it is time for us to get to the point where we talk about this big piece of advice. We normally give a top tip, but because today's show has been a little bit different, I think today's tip is going to be interesting. So what do you think it is?
Okay. Don't plan on selling your business to be able to retire with a bank full of money. Statistically, you won't do it. It's 0.2% do it. Last year it was 106 or something. Year before that was 92, and year before that was 47. So it's not going to happen statistically. There are 12 boxes you can tick. If you tick all of those boxes, you are 100% likely to sell, which is why I sold and Wendy sold, because she ticked all the boxes and so did I. And if I was so minded, I could do it again because I know the boxes. By the way, if you want to know the boxes, let us know. We've got a little ebook. I'll send it to you. There's no hassle or anything. It's not part of a chain or anything. I'll just send it to you. But it'll tell you what those boxes are. If you don't tick them, then the chances of you selling are in fact 0.3% or whatever it is. Well, it's practically zero. So the alternative is a profit and lifestyle business where you build a business which is uber profitable, like very profitable, and doesn't need you all the time. You know, people talk about lifestyle businesses. Well, it's a lifestyle business, so they're on their own. That's not much of a lifestyle, if you ask me. I work all the bloody time. So we want a business which makes a lot of money but doesn't need you all the time. And then you suck some of that money out to pay off your debts. You suck some of that money out to give you a great lifestyle, and you suck some of that money out to invest. So there comes a point where you are independently wealthy. And if you sell your business after that, that's just a slightly bigger house in Spain. So that's my advice. Don't think just because I did it, you can. I wasn't brilliant. I was just lucky. Can I wish everyone a happy Christmas now? Can I do that?
You can. But 1 second before that, you can do a message, but there's a couple of things I wanted to say. First of all, for those of you who watched last week's show, Pete and I started it a little bit frazzled because my mom had fallen down the stairs and dislocated and broken her ankle. And I just wanted to say thank you for all the kind wishes that everybody gave to my mother. She's doing much better. She had surgery. She's doing much better. And she wants to say thank you very much for everybody for kind wishes. Secondly, as I said, this is the last show of the year now. So if you would like, I'm going to put the links. If you want to see us over the next couple of weeks, you miss us, I'm going to put the link to the YouTube channel as well as our podcasts channels below. I'm at 298 subscribers on YouTube. If somebody wants to go over there,
come on, subscribe.
Get me to 300 for Christmas. It would be great. Please do.
Look at that. You have to do that for her. Come on.
It's Christmas. I'm going to do that. And yes, I wanted to say thank you to everybody who's watched and been with us this whole year. But Mike, I think you're the one to send us out.
I have champagne.
So I have kombucha in a beer glass.
That's okay. So yeah. I'd like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'd like you to put aside whatever's happened in 2023, good or bad, because it's gone. Not to worry too much about 2024. It's going to come anyway. Get yourself sorted and nail it. Between then and now, cut yourself some slack. Take some time out. Be with the family. Be with yourself. Don't do all that work if you don't have to, man. Look after yourselves. And we'll see you in 2024. Happy Christmas.